we're gonna talk to a big talker, Tom Perryman.
Y'all ain't done too bad.
Now, Tom is a real icon in country music. He's from Tyler, and Tom is heard weekdays during a classic radio program over stations in Marshall and Longview, as well as Tyler. Tom practically invented country music, elevating it from so-called hillbilly music to country western, and now referred to as just country music. He is a winner of so many, many awards that's hard to even enumerate them. His lifelong partner, Billy, says there are too many now to even sweep around. Tom's friendship with talented Jim Reeves led to station ownership and many other great opportunities. So I'll quit talking and turn the mic over to Tom, Mr. Country Music.
Hello, tasting. This thing tastes pretty good, folks. Let me tell you, I'll tell you what, Tony, probably without Tony and David and these volunteers here, this never would have come about, and I think it's really great. Tony, he does most all the work, and he can blame it on me because he's the first name I put down when we met with the committee to put all this together. Folks, I have never done anything but pick cotton and pick records, and that's a fact. And it was hillbilly music when I got into it. I was in Tyler in radio department school and got a first class FCC radio telephone engineer license, which you had to have when you went to work for radio stations in East Texas, because a lot of them were combo stations that went on the air after the war. That is, the studio and the transmitter was all together. And I went up into Jacksonville in 1947, my first job. Billy and I had been married about 6 months. We will be married 65 years in September. And she says that 2 or 3 of those years have been fairly decent. And I have been doing radio or country music for 64 years. That's all I know to do. And I've done everything you can do, but my heart has always been in East Texas, where I started. And let me tell you something about the people in East Texas and country music, hillbilly music when I got in it. These people know what is good in music, and not only hillbilly, country and all, but when I was in Gladewater with the Hillbilly Hit Parade, because of the Louisiana Hayride, the Big D Jamboree, those artists that would come through here on Highway 80, I was on the air in the mornings, and they'd always arrange to come up and be on the air with me live. That is unheard of this day and time in modern conglomerate-owned radio stations. Radio is not radio anymore. Billy and I brought just about every act in here that there was. And there's something about the people in East Texas, and they're still here. I have found that out in my 10 years over in Tyler on the ranch. Classic country. You can't hear that hardly anymore. None of the mainstream broadcasters are playing real country music. Some of the biggest station conglomerates have gave orders to their program managers, don't play anything before 1970. 50s are the formative years of country music, hillbilly music. And a lot of it happened right here in East Texas. Mainly because of the people here, the places here. Gregg County was the only wet county around here anywhere. And they had the beer joints, the honky-tonks, and those knife and gun clubs. Y'all know what a knife and gun club is. If you go to the door and they ask you if you have a knife or a gun, if you say no, they give you one. That's exaggerated. But back in those days, most all of the major country artists got started on independent record labels. Many of them right here in East Texas. I can name you many of them that did. From Jim Reeves to Johnny Horton to Johnny Cash to Elvis Presley, all of them. They'd get them records and put them in the back of their car and go around and visit radio stations.
That's right.
Bev remembers it, Tony does, and everybody that had those stations that was playing hillbilly music, they would interview them and play the record. That's unheard of in mainstream radio anymore. But anyway, there was many stations in East Texas that had a hand in that. When I started as I said, in Jacksonville, and then went to Gladewater, but I had been going to Nashville to the Disc Jockey Convention from '53. We organized the Country Music Disc Jockey Association. I was on the board of that, and we were scattered everywhere. But after 5 years, we gave what money we had into a group that started the Country Music Association. Out of that came the CMA, and whatever it is now. And I'll tell you what us old-timers and traditionalists say CMA stands for this day and time. It stands for Country My That's a fact. But anyway, and I saw all of that stuff. Being back here doing what I started at and seeing the response and the results of the people here, I am seeing more and more young people that are hearing our music for the first time in their lives. They've never heard country music, and they love it. See, country music, there were stylists in our business. You could know what it was fixing to be when this thing started. I'm talking about people like Ernest Tubb and Hank Williams and Jimmy Dickens and Hank Snow and many of those people. Nowadays, it was all sound alike. If you were young and wore a black hat and cowboy boots, somebody would sign you up and spend a fortune on you. But they were all sound alike and all. But they don't last anymore. The longevity of the new artists are not lasting because the young people, y'all all raise kids. I've got kids and Tina and grandkids. They're fickle. They don't stay with anything too long. But when you get a real country music fan, they stay with you. And I'm finding that out since I've been here. I'm 84, going to be 84, and I don't know how much longer I'll be able to do this, but it'll be quite a while. But I want to tell you, I appreciate country music right now, and it's gone now. When me and Jim Reeves bought the KGRI in Henderson in 1959, where he started after he got hurt playing baseball. He was there on the air for 5 years, from 47 to 52. And then he got the record deal with the Nashville. And RCA died in '64 when he flew that little plane into the ground. He was the only artist that I know of that for 20 consecutive years, as long as RCA was releasing and Mary Reeves was in charge of his demos, putting new music behind it. 20 consecutive years he maintained hit sales and songs in the charts. Now Elvis Presley had worked his first date here. He was broke in Shreveport when they called me and put him somewhere. I was on the hillbilly disc jockey that was playing first, That's All Right Mama. And he came with Scotty and Bill, and I put him in one of those knife and gun clubs out there across the river, the Mint Club. The total money that Elvis earned in the state of Texas was $90, charged $1 a head. And I gave him all of it. I usually kept 10 or 15% for what I did, and he never forgot that. He would come back in January of '55, stay at the Restaurant Hotel. We worked every night for a week, and I put Jim Ed and Maxine Brown with him. We worked 15 or 16 dates in East Texas in '55. I introduced Elvis to Colonel Tom Parker backstage at the Louisiana Hayride one night. He knew who he was, but he had never met him. And he asked me about him. I said, Elvis, that fellow over there will make you over $1 million next year, but he'll get at least half of it. I think he ended up getting 4/3 of it. Anyway. Johnny Cash, I had him at the elementary school, Gay Avenue Elementary School in Gladewater in 1955. That night he finished writing I Walk the Line. Carl Perkins was with him. He had just written Blue Suede Shoes. Probably the first time he had sang it. I think we did an afternoon podcast and he did it there. Hundreds of things like that happened to me and Billy because we happened to be at the right thing. I auditioned for the job of the all-night disc jockey at WSL in 1956 in the fall and got it. Man, I jumped in that '53 Mercury and took off to Nashville Left Billy and them kids there in Graywater without a car because I was going to be a star. Every disc jockey was egomaniacs. I guarantee you that. And I was one. Still am a little bit. But I went up there to be a star, but I found out it was going to be spelled S-T-A-R-V-E. Yep, flat broke. Came back home and me and Jim bought that Henderson station. But I'm going to be sitting down now, and I made a little tape that people fapped around, and I've got a book of my mind business career. The book is free, but you can't get the book without my autograph. The autograph is $15. The documentary from the Jim Reeves documentary I did on my show, a guy that won the gold medal in the International Radio Festival. Well, I'll be here as long as anybody wants to talk, for sure. But I'm loving to be back home in East Texas. And we're on the internet now, and I'm hearing from people from all over, everywhere. All over, because of Jim Reeves and Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash and those, and the Hayride, the Big D Jamboree. People are calling me from everywhere. I don't have a computer. I don't have an email. Somebody asked me if I had a website. I said, a what? They said, a website. I said, the only web I knew was Webb Pierce, and he sure as hell was a site. And that's a fact. I don't use them. But anyway, I'm just me. I tell you tomorrow's Christmas, hang up your stocking. Because I don't blow no smoke, but I have a lot of fun. And most everything I tell on these guys, I can tell what I want because most of them are dead. They can't argue with me. And again, thank you, Buddy, for doing what you have done.